So this is the self-development with tactics book.
So, today we're gonna talk about feel the fear and do it anyway. But, well, yeah, before I talk about that, I just thought whether I should actually talk about this thing that I'm having on my mind on this episode if I'm just dedicating the other episode to it. Well, let's actually head through the book. I don't wanna just piss you off with some thoughts that are not really related to this book, because I know that there's a lot of people that are searching for a summary of a book and then they find my video and they think like, well, fuck you. It's way too long of a video. You're just talking way too much, and it is not a dedicated quote-unquote summary as you might know it from other sources. But if this is the case, I do really want to point out that just go down into the description, check out the link, and as you can see, there is a podcast by them, there's a video by them, which is just really a dedicated summary. Please go to these resources, to this page, to whatever, and don't hang around on my video or on my podcast. Please go down into the description and or into the show notes and check these things out, because I don't know, I don't want to bore you, I don't want to piss you off, I just, don't want to do that. So, yes. Learn how to overcome fear and live your life in power and love. I do want to point out the only difference is that they are only reading the summary, and I'm also adding my shit. And I've gone through trillions and billions and whatever of books, and up to this point I think that I know some shit and I've recognized some shit, and obviously there is some interest that I'm having in these things. And the classic self-help book, I'm actually very sorry. And this classic self-help book will teach you how to overcome fear. You'll learn how commitment and action are essential to overcoming all fear and empower yourself. Finally, you'll learn how no decision you made or will make can ever be wrong. But first, let's find out what fear is. The function of fear. Fear originally protected us from danger. For example, when a wild animal approached us, it was fear who made us flee or prepare to fight. On the other hand, fear can also be an obstacle which doesn't serve us at all. If your fear holds you back from attending a party or traveling, for example, it isn't protecting you. It only presents or represents an obstacle to living your life as you'd truly like. And this is definitely the case, back in the days. And why is there some shit going on there? I don't want to have that. Do I make it better by... the thing is... Well, I guess we have to live with that. There is some... Well, yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Back in the days, fear was indeed functional. There was a function behind fear. Like, indeed, as they pointed out, okay, it protected you from doing dumb shit in the end. Of course, up to this point, and I think nowadays it's also the case. You're not going to just jump off a cliff. You're not going to just really step near really dangerous situations or cliffs or whatever where you could fall off. And yes, of course, there is still a protective functionality of fear, but we don't need it as much as we needed it back in the days. And so at this point in time, and nowadays, it's more or less something quite unnecessary, to a high degree. Of course, not always, because as I pointed out, we are just also hiking and traveling and whatnot, and it, prevents you from doing dumb shit in the end. Conditioning from an early age often makes us fearful. We often are conditioned from a young age to be fearful. Our parents are society tells us about the dangers of the world outside, quote unquote, and how we can remain safe for harm or from harm. These fears can become deeply attached and debilitate us as adults. Fortunately, it is possible to learn methods to control and overcome our fears, for example, by examining the nature of that fear. If you are afraid of the first day at a new job, for instance, you could examine that fear and learn that nearly everyone is nervous in a similar situation. You can also learn how people successfully overcame that fear by, and this is my addition to what they say, probably by Googling and just searching and then finding. There are different fears, but in the end, these fears come from the more general fear that will not be able to overcome what life throws at us. Fear is something we all feel and we can learn to cope with and even overcome. By the way, I've really stopped summarizing the summaries. So in the description, also in the show notes, there's a link to a Google Drive's folder, where you can find all summaries that I've gone through up to a certain point. And, I forgot about this habit, so it's probably like been, I don't know, half a year maybe, since I've uploaded one, or maybe 5 months, 4 months, something like that. And I should definitely start that again. So maybe I'm gonna think about that and do it. But I don't know. Like, there is some summaries, there is some PDFs you can download for free, totally for free, and so that you, so that you can learn from them. Because sometimes, pages get deleted and stuff, and it is like an archive of a lot of things that I went through. Sometimes it's as well summarized, but most often it's just, me copying the whole page and then passing it down because, a summary is already summarized. So yeah. Push through fear to cope with it. One of the best ways to overcome fear is pushing through it. That is, feeling the fear and do it anyway. Going through a life with fear is a far greater torture than just pushing past it whenever it arises. For example, fear is often a reflex, which is triggered when we experience new things in life. Doing the thing anyway will prove to us that it is doable and our fear will dissipate. As we overcome our fear, we get an additional benefit, a greater sense of self-respect and confidence, which is, I think, definitely the case, because you're going to see that you don't have to be afraid, that everything is quite fine, and that, you don't have to be fearful. And it's probably also going to teach you for future situations that you don't have to be fearful. And even if you've learned to just push through it and do it anyway, which is important and a good thing. And yeah, keep that fucking in mind. Something else that I thought about and that I've now forgotten is that I don't know. Yeah. Well, what was it? Actually, what is going on with the weather or the sun? Sometimes it's sunny, but it's still like this strange effect there. But anyway, well, I don't know. Let's go ahead. I don't care. Our comfort zone gets in our way. Why is it that and it also builds mental strength, I would say, by pushing through things that you actually don't want to push through and that you want to just not do. It really does. It really does help build mental strength. Of course, when I'm taking a cold shower or a cold bath, I also quite don't want to do that, especially after a hard day, especially after working out, and especially after just already being stressed out as fuck. I don't want to do that. I really don't. But I'm still fucking doing it. I'm pushing through. And I think that it helped me just doing certain things that I actually don't want to do in my regular life as well. There's not too many things that I'm just, pushing away and that I'm not doing. There's actually only one thing. Tidying up my room definitely is one of them, because I often don't really think that I, necessarily have to do that. And on the other hand, it is learning from my fucking driving license. I really gotta have to do that. I'm also gonna do that today, I guess, because today is Sunday. Today I actually have enough time. And yeah, the rest of the day is probably gonna be a bit chilled, even though I am gonna try to pre-record certain episodes or some episodes, because I know for a fact that probably the next week is gonna be a bit stressful, even though I just only have to work till 3:30, but it is still like, I also have to eat, which kind of takes an hour for me. I don't know why. Maybe also pre-cook. Well, anyway. Let's go ahead. Our comfort zone gets in our way. Why is it that as a child we overcame many things we are afraid to do, but as adults we tend to stop outgrowing our fears? The problem is that as adults we tend to establish our personal comfort zones which strongly influence the actions we take and decisions we make. We might be comfortable to ask a stranger for directions, but we feel uncomfortable to start a conversation with the stranger at a party. But what if we expanded our power by consistently pushing the barriers of our comfort zones? Which is also something that Tim Ferriss is pretty big on. For example, asking for like 10% off, when you're buying coffee. And of these things, like there are certain exercises you could be doing to really go past that fear, and maybe even get a job where you do have to talk to people. and using it to your advantage, and really then also talking to people. At this point in time, I'm a paramedic for the Red Cross, I guess. I think it is called paramedic. I'm actually not quite sure. I've looked it up once. Should be the case. And the thing is, there is two types. One type is you're just basically transporting people, which means that you're just driving them around. And the other thing is indeed just being the ambulance. Okay, when somebody calls, I don't know what number it is in your just country, but in my country it's 144, and then we come, and then we get you, and when there's some problem, then we're gonna help you. But that is not what I did up to this point. I also have that type of work, but I most often don't do that. It's like getting people that can't drive and that are old or just unable to drive due to just diseases or disabilities or whatever. We're driving them around. And the point of my whole story is that I quote unquote need to talk to people. I just don't need to, but I think it is a good exercise to just sit in the car with them, because I always have to be with them, so that there's nothing happening and stuff. And I have to talk to them. And of course, I could look out of the fucking window all the fucking time, but I have decided to, first of all, I don't want to waste their time to some degree, meaning that, okay, they're already there, they're already in my car, they're already driving with me, and they're already there. So why shouldn't I just, take the effort and, I don't know, just make a good time and provide them with some quote unquote entertainment. And on the other hand, it is a good thing for me, because I learn how to just start conversations with people randomly, and I think it is a good thing. To expand your comfort zone and overcome fear, do something uncomfortable every day. For example, at the next party, try to talk to someone you have never met before. Doing uncomfortable things like these will make them less uncomfortable the next time until you overcome them completely. But what if our pushing backfires, for example? If we talk to stranger person and that person answers in an unfriendly way, that case also is very useful for your empowerment. If stepping outside your comfort zone backfires, be satisfied that you at least took action instead of letting your fear dominate you. Acting will expand your comfort zone no matter what happens, and expanding your comfort zone, your comfort makes you more active and independent, and ultimately more powerful. The more unfamiliar and frightening things you do, the more power and confidence you will acquire. I don't actually know why, but I just don't like talking to people on the phone. I hate that, especially if I don't know them. If I know them, it is quite fine, but if I don't, it really pisses me off. And but still, I sometimes I then think like, well, I first of all have to do it, and second of all, it just teaches me certain things. I do actually often have it in the back of my mind that, okay, just do it because you're gonna learn something, because it's gonna be good for you, and these things, and something that quite helped me, I guess, is counting to 3 or 5 or something like that, and then doing whatever you want to do, especially when it is about cold showers and stuff. I've been doing this for quite some time now, so it's nothing that I'm really feared about, but I just don't want to do it. It's cold, it's uncomfortable, it's not great, and and then it kind of works. Take full responsibility for your life. Instead of victimizing yourself, you can take difficult situations as a challenge to grow and learn. For example, if you're not threatened fairly by someone, instead of complaining, you can change your perception about it, acknowledging that the other person's perception of you doesn't define you. And if that isn't enough to empower you, you have to be ready to take action to improve your life. You could distance yourself from people who don't contribute positively to your life and spend more time going out to meet new people. Meet new people. I think in general, it is one of the most important things that you actually can be fucking doing. Meet new people, do something with them, spend some time with them, and all of that shit. I think it is incredibly important. See and feel abundance to become more generous and less afraid of not having enough for yourself. Overcoming the fear of scarcity is an important component of our overcoming fear in general. Most of us are scared to give because we think there will be less for ourselves. How to remedy that? By practicing giving. For example, if you give money or kindness to others more often, even if it occasionally triggers your fear, it will help you eliminate the scarcity in the long run. Only by practicing will you improve at being a giver and eliminate the fear of not having enough for yourself. Gratefulness is an important component to become happier. By regularly giving thanks, you will train yourself to see how fortunate you are. Yeah, indeed. There's a lot of things we can be happy for, and we should also be happy for. And keep that in mind. Really do that. I actually often have to think about that, and I have been struggling with negative thinking actually quite often in the past few, I don't know, maybe months even, could be the case, due to difficult situations, due to certain things that piss me off, due to whatever. But in the end, I have found that first of all, reading Stoicism or Stoic writing, which is quite all about, okay, you're actually pretty powerful and you can do things and it's not like you're powerless. It really helped me, just reading some quotes and then, yeah. But on the other hand, I do think that gratefulness and just really, really, really understanding, not just thinking about it, but indeed understanding that you have quite a lot is a fucking amazing thing. Well, actually a little bit of a fucked up thing there. Well, anyway. Being positive is more beneficial and often even more realistic. Let's see. Studies have shown that only about 10% of your worries transpire, which means that most of our worries are completely unfounded. Adopting a more positive attitude towards what might happen is a more realistic perspective than being pessimistic and worry all the time. Overcoming negativity is hard though and requires a lot of commitment and practice. You have to take it or make it a daily habit to practice and use tools such as good self-help books or quotes and affirmations to succeed in becoming more positive. Thinking positively doesn't mean denying the reality of things. It just provides you with the strength to deal most effectively with every situation while reducing worry, eliminating fear, and enjoying your life despite challenges. And one thing that really, really helped me, and it is actually the background of my fucking phone, is amor fati. I don't know if there's actually a rolled R, but I don't give a fuck about that. Amor fati, which means love faith and love your faith. Meaning that, I'm actually going to show you because I know that there is some amazing thing. There it is. And there's actually a story by the Daily Stoic website, which is powered by Ryan Holiday, as far as I know. So what is amor fati? And I'm actually really willing to go through it because it is something pretty amazing. Amor fati, Latin for love of fate. There's actually quite a bunch of different translations there. So yeah, is a mindset that you take on for making the best out of anything that happens. Treating each and every moment, no matter how challenging, as something to be embraced, not avoided, to not only be okay with it, but love it and be better for it. Friedrich Nietzsche said amor fati was his formula for human greatness, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backwards, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal, but love it. Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote of amor fati in Meditations, a blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Meaning, if you just feed your fire with happiness, then you're feeding it with happiness. And of course, you can also feed it with something else that we decide. Epictetus, who as a crippled slave would say, do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happen the way it happens, then you will be happy. When we accept what happens to us after understanding that certain things, particularly bad things, are outside our control, we are left with this. Loving whatever happens to us and facing it with unfailing cheerfulness and strength, no matter what. We don't get to choose so much of what happens to us in life, but we can always choose how we feel about it, which is also something that Viktor Frankl already said, who is a survivor of a concentration camp, or multiple concentration camps. Amor fati, love of what happens, adopt this formula for human greatness. To carry around this powerful idea, each day we created an Amor fati medallion. Swipe up to learn more. It's actually not that cheap. I don't want to point that out, but I think it is an amazing thing. But yeah, I think that I'm going to end the episode there. I do hope, by the way, that the audio is fine. I haven't used a pop filter today, which, might be a bad idea, but I think it is fine. I think it is good. I think it is okay. But yeah, I wish you the best health, happiness, and all success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty fucking cool thing. 3 other questions that I have, you are why, what are you trying to change and what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea. And one last thing that I'm having for you is, what could you essentially say to another person that is indeed going to change their life? Because I totally believe that we all can say something, that we all can communicate something that is indeed going to change their life. We all can. And it is something to keep in mind, and it is something that's pretty powerful to keep in mind. And yeah, with that being said, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Please take care of yourself, your loved ones, and family members and friends, even though I do hope that they are your loved ones. But yeah, I'm going to see you the next time.